is like a flashback. This is like a dream. This is like all the things you can fit inside a memory. This is like a flashback. This is like a dream. This is like all the things you can fit inside a memory. This is like a flashback. Flashback. 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 Why can't I realize I'm fighting for my life? Why can't I realize I'm fighting for my life? This is like a flashback. Flashback. 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 This is like a flashback. This is like a dream. This is like all the things you can fit inside a memory. This is like a flashback. This is like a dream. This is like all the things you can fit inside a memory.
This a sound clash thing, we not come to play. The rhythm and me style ram thing, pumping up the bass. You rise, can't cool, make a fire blaze. Pull up my selector, hold tight, we mash up the place. Pull up my selector, hold tight, we mash up the place. This a sound clash. Pull up my selector, hold tight, we mash up the place. This a sound clash. You rise, can't cool, make the fire blaze. Pull up my selector, hold tight, we mash up the place. This a sound clash. Pull up my selector, hold tight. Pull up my selector, hold tight, we mash up the place.
Hello and welcome one and all to the first OCE Horizon tournament hosted by EGD. Everybody got a dream. Also sponsoring the prize pool for today. This is an open league tournament. My name is Edude and I'm joined with Scorch.
Welcome everyone. Hello, I'm Scorch. I'm an ex-Contenders and Face It Master League tank player and an occasional color caster. To be honest, I've been playing Overwatch 2 or Overwatch in general for longer than I care to admit, both over Overwatch 1 and 2. But tonight, that experience is going to be a major asset. I'll be bringing the in-depth analysis of every fight, team, and map composition, from the strategic nuances to the hidden tactics. I'll be breaking it all down for you. Whether you're here to improve your game or just enjoy the show, you're in the right place. Now, dude, let's dive into the format of this tournament.
Thank you, Scorch. Yes, today we have 12 teams and 60 plus players, including subs. Today's games will be best of 5 and a best of 7 grand finals later on in the week.
Mhm.
We will be having a double elimination bracket, meaning if you lose, you still have a chance to win it all. Being best of 5 throughout the week, throughout the weekend, we'll be having action from various game modes throughout the night. And now to introduce the teams.
Of course, let's go through a quick rundown on our participants. So here we've got for today, we have Tea Time, Brown Usos, Drain Gang, Team Koi. Team Koi specifically is actually an NZMA student team, and they've been playing together for a few weeks now to actually prepare for the tournament. But I'm not sure how good it's going to be for them, because they're up against Mud Dog, who is currently the reigning regional champions. They won the most recent season of Face It Master League, and they're here to continue that run coming into this season.
And what is the Face It League?
Okay, so the Face It League. Oh, yeah, all good. The Face It League is basically the new season of Contenders. If you've been watching Overwatch for a long time, you'd know Overwatch Contenders, or Contenders in Australia, was basically the big national tournament. But at the moment, Face It Master League has been what that's become now that Overwatch has moved away from a sort of franchised first tier, second tier, third tier sort of system, and it's now been moved to a more grassroots team. So Face It League is kind of that new adaptation.
And carrying on with those teams, we have Sovereign, Silly Sausages, Kitchen Floor, with an exciting mix of high-ranked console and PC players. We've got Supernova, recently 7th in the most recent season of the Face It Master League. And we are here to bring you the action of all the games we have lined up. Starting off with Scorching Ravens versus Odin's Chosen. Scorching Ravens there. We're having Hundra on the tank / DPS. Sigma Reaper Kiri, going to be an interesting mix there. Wolf coming in on the DPS and support. Ana Junkrat, also something unconventional really. Don't really see many Junkrats around. Got Mum, the support. Mercy Moira, very good picks coming into this game, whether they want to run the dive or whatever they want. We've got Rai, the support. Baptiste, Ana, Zen, Lifeweaver, just a whole mix of characters they can run. We've got Raven rounding it out. Zarya, Ramatra, Tracer. Tank, support, DPS, these players can do it all. And then coming in from Odin's Chosen, Fulton, Tank, Diva. Here is such a good meta pick at the moment. Apples, the Sombra, coming in on the DPS. It's me, DPS as well with the Farah. Eater on the support. Juno, very popular pick at the moment, especially being a new character. And we've got Slime on the Kiriko. So, Scorch, with these two teams and what we hear of their lineup, what do you think?
Well, to be honest, right, the current meta convention seems to be heavily favoring Odin's Chosen. The Juno Diva comp seems to be the heavy meta right now, especially with what's been being played in sort of more recent high-level tournaments. If you're an avid Overwatch watcher or esports follower, you'd know in recent OWCS tournaments and such, or in OWCS qualifiers, a lot of teams have been running sort of the Juno and Diva composition, whether you're running a Juno Brig, Juno Ana, it's kind of been that. And even Juno Kiriko has seen quite a bit of playtime. On top of that, with Apples being able to run the Sombra can actually be a pretty devastating pick in that, especially if you're trying to run something where you're just trying to full throttle at the enemy team. Because, again, because of Diva just being so good at engaging right now, especially through the speed ring. The speed ring is what really makes this composition so good, because you're just able to sort of rocket boost through a speed ring. You just absolutely mow down a target. Brig has been the main development in that meta, where characters like Ana, Zen, or Bap seem to be a little bit too vulnerable, right? You can just get ran at completely. Brig, she's got shield. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. She's got a shield, she's got armor, she's got a ton more HP. She has an ability that can just get her on the other side of the map if she needs to be, really. So she can just get out of every engage. So at the same time, right, what we've been looking at is that sort of composition, even with Juno Kiriko, sort of follows that same thing. Kiriko is really good at surviving that engage and seems to be following that traditional meta pick. And Sombra has been such a good character in that, because if you're able to hack a Brig or hack a Kiriko and they're not able to get away off that engage, then it's just going to be a fantastic engage for your team. You're generally going to be able to net a kill. But at the same time, when looking at Scorching Ravens, you don't really know 100%. For one, they do have some characters or some people who can play some of those counter characters, right? Especially from what we've seen, Azaria has been a really good counter, not just because it gives your team a bit of an advantage in the D.Va Zar sort of tank matchup, but because Bubble can be a really good element or a really good ability at protecting your backline from those kind of rocket engagements. It doesn't matter if your support gets hacked, if they can get bubbled until that hack wears off. On top of that, you know, we're seeing characters like Wolf, players like Wolf who can also play that Ana, right? Maybe they'll be able to swap over to a Juno. A lot of support players who seem to be better at sort of the Ana or Mercy seem to also be liking that Juno quite a bit. And on top of that, they have quite a lot of players who can play basically everything. Again, Tundra, he's able to play Sigma, he's able to play Reaper, he's able to play Kiriko. Wolf able to commit to that Ana, and even as you said, the odd Junkrat pick, which can make it so much, it can give your team such good nuance, right? Mum especially can play the Mercy Moira, and it seems like Mum and Riot are going to be building up the two supports. Riot covering the Baptiste, the Ana, the Zen, and the Lifeweaver. And Raven, being the tank support, is going to be covering the Zarya, the Ramatra, but he can even go over to a Tracer, which in this kind of dive meta or dive meta mirror just seems to be such a good strength to have. So really what this game will come down to is, will sort of, even though the meta convention favors Odin's Chosen, will Scorching Ravens' kind of flexibility be their advantage? Will they be able to build those counter comps in order to counter that meta and sort of use that going into this series in order to have more consistent wins and more consistent, you know, objective progress?
So it's sounding like coming into this, we're going to be seeing a lot of dive-on-dive action. Do you think there's any way to counter the dive effectively, or is it just going to be whoever dives best dives first?
Well, to be honest, having a good dive is just as much about recovery. I know a lot of people talk about, especially in the Overwatch 1 sense, about having your off-tank peel and having everyone sort of double back and help your backline, and also try to mirror and kill the enemy team's backline. In Overwatch 1, that was a little bit more clear-cut because you have a main tank like Winston or Wrecking Ball who can go in for an engage on a backline, but you also had a tank that like D.Va or Sigma or even Zarya in some cases who can help peel the backline, keep your backline alive and make sure they can sustain through any engage. Yeah, you had people who could work on both offense and defense in that sense. But now in Overwatch 2, you only have one tank, right? So in reality, it's not that those two different things sort of change. Those two different roles of working both offense and defense are still there, but you really want to be looking to work. It's more of a team effort to work both offense and defense. You don't have one tank that can do both. He has to either do one or the other, and his teammates have to fill the gaps where they can. So a lot about surviving versus dive isn't as much about the recovery anymore, especially in Overwatch 2, because if your tank has to commit to marking the enemy team's backline as opposed to coming back, you need to be sure that your backline can survive without the tank more so than anything, because he's not going to be able to be there in every single situation. So a lot about this dive mirror, what we need to be seeing from both these teams in order to survive these engages isn't just about having good recovery, good ability usage, good healing, and good sustain, but also about prevention. Not letting the enemy team set up in the kind of angles and staging that they want in order to sort of execute an important dive. And that's going to be really important into a D.Va and Sombra. You've got to be spy checking that Sombra. You've got to be making sure that they can't really get in those positions that they really want to. And that's going to be the key coming into this.
So what I'm hearing is a lot of it comes down to how the other team, the other players on your team react to what your tank and what the other tank's doing, how they can stay alive, keep themselves positioned well, and just not get overwhelmed.
Yeah, absolutely. Seems to be a good succinct way of putting it.
Sounds like a good time. Also, going into this, do you reckon the flexibility that we have, we'll see something different to the dive? Or is it all just going to be dive brawl maybe as a composition?
To be
Any
honest, I
ideas?
think we can definitely see a bit more of a sort of counter comp. Traditionally, brawlier comps, bunkery comps, kind of like that, are better than the dive, but the main reason for that is because dive has a hard time actually bursting through high sustained comps that like a brawl comp could give you. Comps with like a Ramatra, a Baptiste, or even like a Sigma and a Baptiste can actually be really strong. And as you mentioned, Scorching Ravens, they do have that in their back pocket. They do have a Sigma player, they do have a Zarya player, they do have a Baptiste player, an Ana player, right? So they definitely can look for that. But at the same time, again, even though a brawl comp can give you better better recovery from a dive, prevention can also be more of a stronger suit for teams to play off of. So even looking at these kinds of more double flex support compositions, things like an Ana and Zen, even with a Mercy, having compositions that can even just play for more offensive output can actually get the job done sort of more indirectly. Because although you're going to struggle to survive the dive as much, if you don't let the enemy team get the setup they're looking for a dive, then you're going to be surviving that dive more indirectly, if that makes sense, because the enemy team just can't get the same level of burst in either case.
Yeah. So it's all about trying to sustain that first hit coming in. Another thing I wanted to point out is we've got It's Me on the Pharah. And I do know Pharah, projectile character, gets shut down a lot by D.Va. How do you think that will play into it?
To be honest, I think the Pharah does get a little bit shut down by D.Va, but it also just depends on how It's Me will be playing that. A lot of what you can do as Pharah is just, you don't always have to hard commit. I feel like if they do try to go for those dive trades into D.Va, where the Pharah just hard commits, and it's either, the Pharah gets a kill or she dies, I feel like that's where D.Va has that advantage, because if you just get defense matrix, you're not going to get a kill. You've committed so much that you are going to die. So a lot of how you have to play off of that is just being a little bit more cautious. And again, if you do want to get value off that dive, you've got to prevent their D.Va from stopping you. Try force out defense matrix and put their D.Va in a position where you have to, mark that backline, or where she has to mark the backline instead. Now,
Yes,
it
and
appears,
sounds like we're
hey,
getting
dude.
into the game now.
Yeah, we're getting
Sorry.
into the game. Nah, you're all good.
And it looks like we're on Lijiang Tower. And it will be what we've seen from these teams. It'll be the Zarya coming out from Raven, and the D.Va coming out from Fulton. So it is looking like we predicted.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what do you think
now,
of these matchups coming in?
Well, to be honest, they've got the Life Weaver, which I think is a little bit of a extraterrestrial pick, to say the least, only because Life Weaver doesn't really have too much sustain, but he does provide that really strong survivability, especially if he can get on top of his pedal. Now, the Zarya as well, a bit of a hard counter comp, or a bit of a hard counter character, and with the Sombra we're seeing here, Fulton tries to go for an engage and actually gets pushed out.
Yep. Very good hack coming in, take them all one way, distract them with the other. And it looks like this D.Va just getting hacked over and over again. We talked about how it can stop the infiltration from behind. It looks like just the full face run stopping them. And they're fighting over point for this first fight at the moment. And that's the first pick coming from It's Me onto Wolf. And here we go again.
Me.
It's Me, yeah. We got... what's his name? Got Wolf trying to take it out on this Reaper. Looks like this fight's still going on this first point. No one's taking control fully yet. This Zarya doing a lot of work to that D.Va. Will the supports be able to keep it up? Got more damage coming out. The hack onto the Pharah in the backline, but no pick coming out. It seems like it's just one big brawl going on. Some of that dive we were talking about doesn't seem to be coming in at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. It seems like the Sombra Reaper, they're playing really close to the front, which I think is going to favor the Zarya comp, especially if he builds his charge over time here.
Yeah, and the ult coming out from both the Zarya and the Ana, and that will be a fight win. Will it though? There's a lot of healing, a lot of damage coming out from everything. That's who picks from Fulton though. Where did that come from?
A huge
Poco
like bomb, as they
Fulton,
call
and
it.
it's just the two tanks are trying to fight it out on the point. It looks like Fulton will have to give up. Oh, but he gets hacked for his troubles on the Raven. And there's the EMP
Raven
as well to
get
try and
hacked,
clean it
can't
up.
use the bubble. He does get that cleanup.
Down. And a fight that looked like Scorching Ravens was going to win, Odin's Chosen just come back in off of a great survivability from Fulton, and they take the first point.
Yeah, absolutely.
first
I
fight.
feel like, yeah, huge diva bomb. Honestly, we call that in the business we
was.
call that a poco bomb. We just send it and see if it gets kills, which is a really well placed one. He used it at the right time as well. Using that diva bomb to stall is always the best thing that you can do in these late fight situations. But I
And more
feel like
importantly,
Scorching Ravens. Oh, huge kill coming out here from Apples to start the
it
fight.
was. But it looks like that will be the res coming out, keeping the teams even. And there's the Junkrat coming out from Wolf.
Oh,
Oh, that's a boop off the edge from It's Me on Raven, and that's gonna be the fight lost. They gotta back out here. They can't keep pushing without a tank. Oh,
but
and
It's
the
Me
massive
continues.
justice to take two.
Oh, but each Tundra,
And
he's
it's just
called it
like,
winnable. But I don't
yeah,
think it is.
he's committed the ult and is gonna try and run away, but can't make anything happen there. Once
Yeah,
again,
it looks like in
they
these
got
two
that pick.
fights. Yeah,
And it was
the
just
Sombra are really helping for that first fight, especially for that first pick. You can just harass the backline so much here. Ryan, Mum, they're just not going to be able to get so much space really, which kind of is that disadvantage. But I feel like Scorching Ravens, they have to plan around the Pharah and they have to plan around the Sombra a little bit better. I feel like they aren't being as aggressive as they could be. Traditionally, oh, here comes a bomb.
another big ult coming in. Doesn't get
think Fulton
anything.
got a-
Goes for a crushing kill. Not quite.
But-
Mummy falling off the edge. That's interesting. That's not all you want to see.
Very
Yeah,
interesting.
player down now. The Reaper goes down as well,
Two
but
down.
It's Me. And it's just these off angles that the Spyro can get is proving so good. And Ravens close to
Yeah,
going down
absolutely.
as well. Trying to contest point. And I think unless someone gets a touch on, that'll be the last fight.
Yeah,
there it
that'll be the
is.
last fight there. But it didn't seem like a contest from Scorching Ravens was really going to make much of a difference. Although they had the Grav and the Lifeweaver ult coming up, there was quite a few ultimates from the side of Odin's Chosen that could have countered those and provided quite a little of, made it a lot more even in that sense.
And just talking about the ults, we're seeing just a lot more effectiveness coming out from Odin's Chosen over Scorching Ravens. We see the Diva Bomb getting 2 kills, the Justice from Farah getting 2 kills, and it's just their usage of them. Even defensively, they used, I think it was the Kiriko Rush to get their team out and around the corners to escape some of the pressure Scorching Ravens was given. Whereas on the other side, you get the Lifeweaver tree not getting as much healing or survivability they want because the players are already dead. How are they going to do anything if their players aren't there?
Yeah,
and it looks
100%.
like a bit more brawly coming out from Scorching Ravens, having that May in the pick. We've got the Roadhog, always a fan favorite to see.
Not really. Not if I doubt Raven will be calling it a fan favorite from the rank queues. But the Roadhog here does provide a little bit more stability for Odin's Chosen, especially into the May comp. They still have that Lifeweaver Mercy. The main takeaway being that if Roadhog is able to get a hook here, there isn't. It will immediately force the Lifeweaver pull, as we're seeing there. But now those cooldowns are no longer available. Those cooldowns are no longer available. They need bubbles. They need
from these angles.
Yeah, absolutely. I think because Odin's Chosen is running a little bit more of pokier DPS here, they really want to be looking to force cooldowns and not let the enemy team sort of walk up easily. And I think the Roadhog makes a lot of sense in that sort of aspect. Although Fulton does fall here, going a little bit too aggressive, gets caught by Raven and the rest of his team.
Yeah, and it looks like the rest of Odin's Chosen will just back off a little bit, try and get some poke coming through, and that will be the point flipping in favor of Scorching Ravens. Ooh,
that name's trademarked, by the way. Has anyone told them that?
On Wolf. Yes, but Mom comes out with the res on, and there's a interesting.
Whoa.
Is that a nano?
I believe that is now the new visual effects for a damage boost. When you're actually damage boosted, come up a little bit blue nowadays. Now the tree's not letting Fulton through.
That's so cool. The tree to block this, and there's the May wall. Oh, it's so cool to see. What a way to control the space. But still, Rye going down. Look at the high noon coming out. Mom drops as well.
For the barrage.
And there's the massive barrage coming in from the back, and this should be a team cleanup coming out of Odin's Chosen. They'll probably even up the percentages as they come into this next fight. Oh, and it looks like It's Me's going for a cheeky little flyover, trying to get some boot kills, some good damage on.
I don't think he was able to find much there. Now, although Odin's Chosen did take that point, they've got the point cap back and they're ticking back up to that percentage. They do use a lot of ultimates to do it. The only ultimate they have here is the Juno ult, and there's quite a lot of options for Scorching Ravens to sort of outvalue that, especially with the Mei ult. Not being able to stand in that Juno ult will get rid of it. And it seems like that's what they're going to be
and
looking
the
for.
Graviton Surge coming out soon as well.
Yeah,
as well
that
as
can be
the
a deadly
visor from
combo.
the Soldier.
Now, it looks like the Mei ult is just a zoning one. This could actually open them up to a Juno ult here. But they do get the point flip.
And looks like there's a whole hog coming out. And Trades all around.
He's able to kill 3!
Oh, Trades is going crazy. And it looks like Odin's Chosen will be the ones to clean it up. Lifeweaver going to die on point just to get it over with. Get that quicker reset in. And now we're coming down to almost last fight territory if Odin's Chosen can win it. Will they hold close? Will they hold far? Will be interesting to see.
Oh no. Lolita Wolf had the visor, but they've opted to go for the Mei pick instead with the Mei Reaper.
Like,
now swapping over to the Sim, a little bit of indecisiveness from Scorching Ravens. You can't really use your flexibility to your advantage if you're not going to be set on what you want to use. What you want
As we've seen with these games so far, the ults have been so good into winning fights, stopping fights. And looks like this tank's gone so low, but he's not going to die. And that is overtime for Odin's Chosen. 1 fight territory for them. Just holding the point here, trying to stay out of the gap. And there's the again. That was very good. They knew the fire would be coming in from behind as he has done, and they got him for it. Although there was a trade, and then Apples takes out the tank. Heard a res coming out, but doesn't go down. Lolta Wolf takes a trade. Trades all the way around, and I think this will be it. Yep, carry ult, speed boosts, just all the cooldowns reductions.
Yeah.
And I think that will be the game unless someone else can touch. Got the trap down from Roadhog to stop anyone from coming in.
Ooh, he does get the touch. He does almost have the ult. He does fall.
Take it.
Now the Zarya is coming in, actually.
Ult. And I think it's just die on point at this point. There's no...
it's just still... there's not really much hope here.
Yeah.
Not really much hope for Scorching Ravens there.
Yeah, Odin's Chosen to take game 1. I would say in convincing fashion, but that second game was a lot closer.
Mm-hmm.
That first map there on Gardens, I think it is, just not paying out for them. Was it Tower?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, just unfortunate. Just the usage of ults was a bit weird in some points. Some of the positioning, they were just getting caught out by the Pharah or by the, especially in the first map, the Sombra. Just wasn't working out for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think with their sort of Zarya Reaper comp, there wasn't really a lot of sort of synergy between their backline and frontline, if you really think about it. The Lifeweaver and the Mercy sort of, because you have, well, they sort of enable more of a slow, pokey play style, right? The damage boost being applied to one of your DPS allows them to build a big advantage over time in that aspect. And the Lifeweaver's pull and pedal means that he has very good survivability and escapability from, you know, certain engagers. But it seemed like also playing the Reaper, also playing like a Mei or a Sombra and a Zarya, it feels like those characters, although you can play Zarya a little slow, you can play Sombra a bit more slow, I feel like having a Sombra Reaper meant that you couldn't really take advantage of that Mercy damage boost. And it didn't really matter that the Lifeweaver can't really get, like, it doesn't really matter the mobility that the Lifeweaver brings you if you're not really going to be using it to your advantage in that sense, where you're not going to be holding aggressively, poking, and then falling back. Because why do they want to fall back? They're on a Reaper and Sombra. So it's that kind of synergy mismatch that I feel like was costing them the most. And it meant that they couldn't really go aggressive into the Pharah, which is what you want to do, but also hanging back, they couldn't get enough value out of their comp in order to out-pressure the Pharah. So a lot of what they were doing was just kind of sitting, holding, eventually getting spammed out, eventually getting engaged on, which is why we saw that there was a little bit more of a collapse on that map, specifically.
Yeah, especially when you see that Pharah coming in from those high angles, those off angles, no one's ready for it, can pump out so much damage quickly, and by the time you look at Pharah, someone else is taking out either, whether it be the tank running you down, or the Cassidy coming out, popping heads. It's just too much to look at it, too little time.
Yeah.
what I did like to see though is when the May came out, they were able to hold uh, Odin's Chosen off the point just a little bit, just to stop them
Mhm.
from pushing in. But otherwise, it just ended up being not enough survivability coming out, not having, say, a Kiriko orb to help save them,
Mhm.
and yeah, we just see them get pushed off. Another thing I wanted to point out, when Odin Chosen was getting pushed, they just let Scorching Rays take the point. They just all pulled
Mhm.
back, all got around the corner, all waited for the right time, and pushed in together and got the
Mhm.
picks that they needed. The
I feel like
coordination from that team is good.
yeah, fantastic coordination, but I feel like them waiting before they push is actually a little bit more of a strategy as opposed to anything. Even though they were being able to use the May ult, or sorry, the May wall, and even the May ult at one point to zone the enemy team off the point and get that capture progress, not having those walls up and using them just to block the enemy team from shooting you meant that you're not really trading out the cooldowns you need to be looking to trade out in order for that May ult or May wall to get valued later. A lot of what you want to be looking at doing with the May in these kinds of comps is looking to wall off a target and then shooting that target, either giving you the chance to kill that target, or at the very least, forcing cooldowns and other abilities in return for that mail, or in return for the mail at one point, but also return for the May
Maywall,
wall
yeah.
at quite a few points. Just using it to stop spam does buy your team a few seconds, and at some points did buy them the point cap, but it does mean that, Odin's can just continue to walk right after and just immediately put that pressure. And I feel like that's the timing that they were really finding. I feel like what Scorching Ravens kind of needs to look to do in coming into these later matches is, if you're running a more aggressive comp and you kind of identify that tempo change early on, look to be aggressive without fear and look to be as aggressive as you can. And that's sort of what they needed to look for. So even though they were using their abilities well to zone the enemy team off the point, it was kind of biting them back later, because after that re-engage comes in, they're not having those abilities when they need them.
They no longer have. They're using it to get in. They don't use it to survive. Don't use it to
Yeah.
get picks. It just shows you that the defensive prowess from the other team as well is causing a whole lot of problems for them all over. And it sounds like we are getting into our second match now. Let's go to see which map it is.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I don't think we talked that much about the map vetoes or the map choices actually before the stream
we
started.
didn't.
Now, let's see
It's
what
not
map they've chosen here, because there's going to be quite a lot of nuance that you can talk about with these maps. On a map like Gardens especially, or as you mentioned, Tower, I think it should be called Tower, but Gardens has always been the misleading name for it. Farah has always been a bit more of a staple, which is why I feel they were sort of looking to run that, as well as because It's Me seems like he's really proficient on that Farah as well. He was getting quite a lot of value out of the barrages at quite a few different points, so it's pretty good and is working really well for them, especially since it's got very good synergy with the team comp. But I feel like at the moment, the main differences between Scorching Ravens and Odin is that at the moment, their compositions from the side of Odin just seem to have a lot more synergy. And
Yes.
they seem to be working a lot better together as well. I feel like Scorching Ravens was kind of only looking to just like stand around and don't really know exactly what they're looking to be doing, which I think doesn't really suit a comp that you want to be more aggressive on. I feel like they should instead try playing to their flexibility with maybe their Sigma and longer range DPS characters, which means they can be more static and just sort of shoot and make the enemy team move first. I feel like going into this map and future maps, that's going to be what gives them the best advantage, given their playstyle issues at the moment.
Yeah. And going into the next set of games, Nat, do you think there are going to be any changes to these team comps, or are they going to keep running what they got going? Are we going to see maybe some snipers come out on certain maps, or maybe more of the projectile characters, or is it just going to be they're going to run with what they know and just keep it as it is?
To be honest, I think for Odin's Chosen right now, they should be running with what's been working for them. I feel like they can. The Diva and Juno again, it seems to be the meta convention at the moment. I feel like you can sort of what's the word? Sort of make some minor changes, especially between like the Sombra and Farah. In OWCS and other sort of high-level tournaments and competitions, we've been seeing teams run more of like a Mei Ashe, and again, some more static sort of DPS lines, ones that can take advantage of the range at that kind of distance. So I feel like Sombra Farah, while being really good on Lijiang, we also saw them switch over to the Cassidy as well, which I feel like can really give them a lot more sort of flexibility in that meta comp, sort of some kind of sub flexibility if you really think about it. I feel like they can definitely experiment with all that coming into these next maps. But again, Scorching Ravens seems to be what they really need to do is if they can't look to fix these playstyle issues early on, which you can't really. Again, these teams, while they have been practicing, while they have been competing, this is game day. This is game time. It is time now to show what the work's been for. And if you're not really finding sort of the value you need, or you're not really finding what you're looking for in these comps, making switches to sort of suit your current playstyle more, as opposed to playing comps which need you to change your playstyle, isn't really as good. I feel like playing comps that suit your current playstyle more is going to be more effective for them in the short term, and that should be what they sort of lean into.
Being comfortable in anything that you do is also just a huge boost. When you're more comfortable, you're more relaxed, you're ready to go. When you're playing something you're not quite used to, you're just a little bit off, a little bit slower than what you need to be. And going into these next maps, it looks like Hybrid will be the second game mode of choice, with Kings Row, Blizzard World, and Hollywood being the map choices. You got any comments on those maps?
Kings Row, Blizzard World, and Hollywood. I hate Blizzard World, but that's because long-range comp seem to be dominating on that. Playing Hybrid is honestly a little bit different, obviously, to Control, and every map, obviously, to some extent, is being played differently. But I feel like Kings Row and Hollywood have always been a little bit more always more dive-centric, just because Kings Row, especially on first point, has a lot of dominant high grounds. Having a composition that can poke out those high grounds is typically effective, but again, natural order of things, dive typically is really good into poke comps. So teams have usually just more naturally set on dive comps on those maps, because one, it can take advantage of high grounds, but it can also counter the poke comps that people might try to run as well. But there is definitely some niches for Brawl on both Kings Row and Hollywood that could definitely be good, especially if you're looking to push the cart. Kings Row especially, second point, third point, a lot better for Brawl than people might first think. But Blizzard World is definitely a little bit more of a nuanced pick. You can still get away with the dive, but because of the longer ranges, longer sight lines, right, you can just play over such longer distances. Dive, again, because dive is all about, or denying a good dive isn't just about recovering from the dive, but preventing a good dive in the first place. Those longer sight lines make it a lot harder for teams to stage and sort of set up their engages and kill boxes. So I definitely think on Blizzard World, we could see something that leans more into Scorching Raven's SIG preference, leans more into, snipers, as you mentioned, or even a Tracer as well. A lot of people underestimate how good Tracer can be at countering dive. Having a character that can constantly duel the enemy team's dive DPS means that they can't focus on diving the backline when they have to worry about your own Tracer as
Just
well.
pressure
So I
in
think
and be
that could
annoying
definitely-
and try and stop them from playing their game. Yeah,
absolutely.
definitely.
And when you're playing a poke comp, that's going to be a bit more of where you're playing a little bit slower, stopping the enemy team from playing their game. That's going to be the first thing you want to be looking to do, as opposed to winning, or because you're playing a little bit more reactively, if that makes sense. You don't want to just rush into the enemy team if they're going to be stronger than you in that rush situation. But let's see what map they did choose.
Let's go over to the game, and it looks like, it's the crowd favorite of Kings Row. Everyone loves a good Kings Row game. I'm no exception, Kings Row being one of the most well-known maps in Overwatch. It's a lot of fun to play on, to run around, just hang with friends, and that. It's going to be so much fun. And it looks like Odin's Chosen will be on defense first. Any preference on wanting defense first over offense?
I'm more of a defense pill, to be honest. I've always preferred defense, if you can choose it. Mostly because, because of the concept of like defensive positioning advantage. When you're holding what's the word? When you're holding a
point or an
position
angle.
that the enemy team wants to take from you. The enemy team is the one that has to commit resources first. They have to use cooldowns and abilities first. And it's why we were seeing quite a lot of weakness from Scorching Ravens beforehand, where they were using things like May ult or May wall in order to counteract the poke and that they were taking from those kind of positions, right? When they were trying to take space, they have to use those cooldowns first naturally, right? So I feel like defense means that you can always use abilities and ultimate second, which you always really want to be looking to do. So I feel like
and
defense here from Odin's Chosen, fantastic choice.
Yeah, and it looks like we've got a little bit of a poke comp coming out from Odin's Chosen on the Ramatra, the Pharah, and the Torbjorn coming out. One of my favorite characters. I just love the turret. I think it's a lot of fun. And from Scorching Raven's side, looks to be half mix, half poke. There's a weird looking comp there. You got the dive of the Reaper and the Diva. But other than that, much else to talk about?
Yeah, it seems like they've gone with a quick play settings lobby where they've got 5 minutes instead of 4, and
I
you only
just
have to
seen
push
that as
one
well.
time. So
Ooh, that's gonna be
a bit of an unfortunate. Are they going to continue? I don't know if they've noticed that the lobby is incorrect, but they've continued with the fight. I think
looks
Scorching
like
Ravens
players are
that
just
one.
talking about that at the moment.
Yeah,
And it's unfortunate that happened, but sometimes
and here we are.
we have bad runs of tournaments. Every tournament has problems that goes on, and yeah, we just got to deal with it as players, as casters, as staff.
Mhm.
So anyway, going back to the match, we had like the weird poke comp coming out from Scorching Ravens on attack.
Mhm.
Any comment on that? Using the Baptiste poke, I guess, burst healing. Reaper,
To be honest,
it's just
I felt like it was a little bit of the same, still a little bit disjointed, but not as disjointed. I was definitely thinking that they could definitely play a little bit more of a slow poking style, especially with the Reaper. Now, a lot of people do think that the Reaper means that you have to go aggressive, and I was talking about how Reaper has to go aggressive, but that's always in relation to the enemy team more so than anything. Right? If the enemy team is the ones that want to be more aggressive than you and they want to be fast, Reaper can actually be strong because if he's able to hold in a nice close position where he can shoot the enemy team's tank and prevent them from walking up without taking a lot of damage, it can actually stop those fast teams from actually being able to take advantage of their sort of fast playstyle because you just have that big threat in the front line while also giving more space to your big threats in the back line, things like a long-range hit scan. But overall, I still felt like it was a little bit disjointed, especially since they're playing on the attack. They can't really look to just play for those more defense-centered compositions. So I feel like the Reaper was a little out of place just because they can't really help their Reaper be aggressive, and he doesn't really have a chance to set up in any strong positions where he can get that kind of value onto the enemy team's front line or even onto their back line.
yeah. So as you're saying, that Reaper able to be a wall to an opposing tank, just pumping so much damage to keep them from stepping in. Maybe looking to go for teleports in behind on the high ground as you're talking about, but with having that Torbjorn there to cover their backside. And this looks like it's set up a little bit better. And will we see the same picks come out now that both teams know what they're going to go for?
I mean, we definitely could see some counter comp sort of variations, but I don't think Scorching Ravens really wants to. Although we're seeing Odin's Chosen do exactly that. Well,
Looks
that
like
could be
they've
a little
changed
bit of
back
a.
now, though. It was the Mulga to start
Okay.
with, and that was just a fake out. It will be the Ramatra coming out. Has really good poke from range, but can also be really tanky up close with that Annihilator form he goes into. And it will be the Torb setup with the Pharah as well.
Yeah. So I think again, Odin's Chosen's comp, honestly, again, seems like it's the same two consistent themes. Their comp looks pretty synchronized and looks pretty like they want to play around one strategy. Although the Ram typically wants to be aggressive, having those kind of two play styles on Ram where one, you can play it really, really slow and play for your poke, but you could also play really aggressive for your Nemesis form, means that Fulton's going to be able to sort of control the tempo in both situations. So already, I think Odin's Chosen's comp makes a lot of sense, and it's what we were seeing on them, or what we were seeing from them on Lijiang, which made them so powerful.
Yeah, and it looks like the tanks are battling over the control over the statue here. on the backside, maybe looking to go to high ground, but the rest of the team not stepping up with the D.Va. Maybe a little bit of miscoordination there, but who knows? But it is the rest of Odin's Chosen backing up this Ramattra from these long angles to stop other players from jumping in. And he had to dive onto the back line, trying to pick out a one of the supports. Doesn't quite get it. That Torb turret acting as a sixth player almost, just to put a little bit of pressure on them.
The Torb
And
can
looks
be
like they're
really
fighting
strong in
over
these
the
sort of
hotel.
matches.
And there's tank going low from each Tundra, but manages to back out in time. And it looks like just these poke comps, we're going to go down to ults. We've got 80% ults coming over on Fulton and Apples, and it's me. Whereas on the other side of Scorching Ravens, you've got Ree almost at the wall. We've got the Kiriko ult coming out to get out a spawn, getting pushed all the way back. And it will be the D.Va bomb coming up soon. We saw a big play from that last game. Will we see another one?
Absolutely. Rosali falls the ult coming out here from Fulton. Oh, and we've gone to Discord. The Barrage and Ram ult coming out from Fulton, and it's me. Definitely seems to pull that over the line. But honestly, it seems like each Tundra, he is trying to fight it. Yeah, fantastic.
Big picks coming out from Odin's Chosen there afterwards, though, and they will just get the baby D.Va on the cleanup. That will be a full reset coming out. 2 minutes on the clock. They're gonna get something on the board.
Yeah, I definitely think Scorching Ravens, the Junkrat, not the best thing from Lolita Wolf here. Could definitely be a little bit more of a sync comp, but we are seeing the D.Va swap from onto the Sigma. Could definitely play for their Widow and Bap a lot more. We're almost seeing a really nice composition in terms of how synchronized it is. But again, Odin's Chosen, that Torb, it is Torben time, and he is doing fantastic, and here he comes in.
Got the Molten Core. He's going to make everything covered in cheese, and that will be the tank going down on the Molten Core. A good push-up from the Ramattra as well. And there's the sights coming out to keep them back. But will it be enough? Not getting as much value as I would like, just being held at the choke point. Oh, what a shot from Apples. Yeah. The rock coming through from the Sigma on the Ramattra, but not pushing forward, and they're just going to hold at spawn doors. 1 minute to go, they're still to touch point.
Yeah. It's coming down to it now, and Odin's Chosen, they are building their ult bank again. The Riptire comes out here from Scorching Ravens, but that's all they have access to. If this isn't big, I don't know what they're going to plan, but it is.
But will the res come out? And there it is, not able to use the rock to stop the res coming out. But that is the Torb turret down. Got no support for the moment. Torb stuck in a trap. And does get taken out by each Tundra, but the trade coming out from It's Me onto Wolf. And Fulton with the trade. And another res coming out. Mom with these huge reses just stopping all this damage that's been coming through.
Ooh, huge flux. Oh, but it's too little too late. It's Me.
Flux.
Gets the barrage.
An even huger barrage coming out from It's Me. And they've just been doing so good on that Farah. Those barrages have been coming in clean every single time. Getting at least 2 kills every time it's come out. And it's a bit of a just great hold coming out from Scorching Ravens. Wait, no, from Odin's Chosen. My bad. No brain. Not working as it should be. And just great hold coming out from Odin's Chosen. Just having that distinct comp to hold back, setting the Torb and the Ramattra to the front line, and then having just the supports in the back with the Torbjorn to keep them safe. Just nothing Scorching Ravens could do about it.
Yeah, of course. I really think Apples there reminds me a little bit of Jordation back in the earlier seasons of Contenders, making that sort of a little bit more of an unconventional pick work. But honestly, that Torb does make a lot of sense into this comp. Again, Odin's Chosen sort of has a little bit more of a play style in mind with their comp, but I feel like Scorching Ravens are kind of just playing what's comfortable to them, which I thought that their flexibility would honestly be their blessing, but it seems like it's going to be their curse in this sort of situation. They're playing what they like to play a lot more, but their compositions in terms of their flexibility hasn't really made a lot of sense. And even now, I do actually kind of like this comp. This is probably my favorite one so far. The D.Va and Sombra can provide a lot of dive pressure. The Soldier is able to play at a long distance, so he's going to be able to get like, a lot of value out of that Mercy pocket. But again, Odin's Chosen, they are back on the Juno comp that they were running on Lijiang Tower, and they could definitely make it work. Only a tick to go,
Yeah,
so this is a must-win situation for Scorching Ravens.
it's got to be a full 4-minute hold for them if they want to take or draw the map, I believe it is. And it looks like the Divas are starting off poking each other from distance. The dive coming in from Fulton, trying to take down that Diva. Finds the Lifeweaver upstairs and tries to take him out. Diva's there to support him. And it looks like already on Odin's Chosen side, Ida goes down. Didn't see it in the kill feed. And there's a hack coming out.
Ooh.
And there's me. It's me once again coming up with some big picks. And the point is ticking.
Yeah, and that Sombra is providing so much value. As the
And
enemy
it
team
looks like
backs away
Scorching
here.
Ravens will keep them off.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the point going back down to 0. Still no tick over yet, as we've got this brawl happening in the hotel. Both characters just flying around the point. It's me
Raven
takes
near
out
goals.
Raven as well. It's me, once again, getting these picks, keeping the players off point. And just no one able to take him out fully, pressuring their supports. And there's Ida taking out each Tundra as well. And it sounds like a res coming out, but sounds like it was cancelled by, I think, the Diva that was.
Mm-hmm.
And just not enough support there coming out. The Diva goes down, and there's everyone falling. This should be the team win. Will someone be able to touch point?
I don't think they will be able to.
And that will
Odin's
be
Chosen
the
rolls in. Now, look, to be honest, it's good to see Scorching Ravens having some positivity in the losses. Is that game? Not sure if that's
best of
the
5 will
game.
be going to a third match,
Yeah.
which I believe is
Yeah.
push. So we'll be going to one of the push matches. Once again, it's me coming in with another big play. I believe got the play of the game last match
Yeah.
as well. And
This
this is
was
that
incredible.
massive ult that we saw.
Yeah. Now,
It's
this is
so good.
fantastic because it actually cancelled the Sigma Flux, which was huge, just before the end. So it didn't actually end up getting that landing damage, which could have actually turned the fight in the favor of Scorching Ravens. But
and that
again,
that
the
flux ended up
composition at the
getting
end.
3 or 4. Yeah,
Mhm,
bad.
absolutely. You're okay.
So yes, we'll be going to push, and the 2 maps we have Coliseo or Esperanza. So push
to
being
be
one of the
honest.
new maps added to Overwatch 2, new game
Mhm.
types added to Overwatch 2. The robot, you got to push him as far forward as you can, and
Yeah.
that's pretty much it. So have fun.
Mhm.
Just a lot of fighting over just this movable point, which goes back and forwards. Maps are usually mirrored. It'll be a
Mhm.
really interesting game going on. How do you think the teams will approach this?
Well, to be honest, I feel like Esperanza specifically, you're sort of a little more limited on each part of the map with your long sight lines. So I feel like that Juno Kiriko comp with the Sombra that we're seeing from Odin's Chosen, honestly, could be really good for them still. Because of the shorter range sight lines, the Pharah has a lot more cover to play around. Your Sombra doesn't have to cross as much distance, less chance she gets spy checked. Means that, on top of that, you can always speedring your Diva, and as you saw quite a few times, how they were able to hit that Lifeweaver on the high ground all the way from main was because the Rocket Diva just went straight through the speed ring and just absolutely launched herself. But
Just
at the start of that round, I was actually looking really interested in how Scorching Ravens were playing. I really liked their compositional choice. I thought it was honestly one of the more succinct comps that they had been running. Now, unfortunately, if they had gotten like some of those succinct comps running from the start of the attack, you wouldn't be down to a match point situation here, because it is a must-win match for them and they can't afford to lose the next 3. And I feel like that's going to really affect their mental, but hopefully they'll keep their confidence up because they could definitely still win this game.
yes, we did see a lot of good plays coming out at that start of that second match there on defense for Scorching Ravens. But it just came down to the trades. Having that further point to roll out from just was too hard for them to come back to. And yeah, they don't have an answer for that Pharah at the moment. They tried the Soldier earlier on, wasn't quite hitting their shots, and at that point, they just had nothing. What were they running as their DPS last game? It was the Reaper. No, it was
Junkrat Reaper on first round, yeah.
Junkrat Reaper. And trying to take out a Pharah with those 2, I don't think it's going to be happening unless you're hitting some nutty shots there, mate. So
not at all.
maybe we see some, especially with more sight lines, if we do go to Esperanza, maybe we do see a sniper pick, maybe an Ash, a
Mhm,
Widowmaker, just to counter this Pharah, which has been doing so much work. At the moment,
mhm,
MVP of the set. It's Me has been coming up big time and time again, not even just with the big picks, but just damage
mhm,
overall, pushing people out of position with the nade shot, and
mhm.
it's just all It's Me at the moment on offense.
Yeah, literally, it's me,
Yeah,
which is
it
really
is.
funny.
It is me,
But
which is him.
mhm, which is amazing. And to be honest, the fire pick has really been working well for him, which is fantastic to see. Fire doesn't get a lot of love, but sort of in the lower ranks, I think she's actually really good. There's actually been quite a few teams in the past who have just been centered around Farah picks. I think there was a team named Forgiver in the previous contender seasons who were just a Farah one-trick team because she's actually really good at punishing mistakes. Things like incorrect rotations or sort of incorrect ult
Bad
usage. She can
positioning
be
if you
really
get
good.
pushed off a
Yeah.
map. Because
God.
I think it was Shanghai Dragons like to run the Fire a lot with Lip, I believe it was,
Back in the day.
and
Yeah, back in the
that's
day.
just how it runs. If you got no way to
Yeah.
answer it, you don't know how to counter it properly, she will run you over,
Yeah.
and it's just so much pressure from such a long distance away. Unlike a hit scan, doesn't have the damage fall off. It's big damage across multiple characters with the explosion damage, and you can just do so much with fire, especially the
Yeah,
off
absolutely.
angles. If no one's ready for a
Mhm.
fire to come from above you, you just get rained on. It's just how it happens.
Mhm. It's absolutely just provides so much threat. And in reality, what it forces teams to do is to have to be really disciplined. You have to be really disciplined with your positions, and you have to be disciplined with your rotations because once Farah lobs in a couple of her left clicks, a couple of her rockets, suddenly she's actually done quite a lot of damage. So she only needs a little bit of time to get a lot of value, but at the same time, against more disciplined teams, they know how to deal with her, they know how to avoid giving her that kind of value. It's why Farah doesn't get as much playtime unless the map depends on it, but it's also why she's been such a niche pick for so long.
She is very, I don't say get hard counted, but does get counted quite easily. And it looks like going to this third game, possibly final, we are going to Colosseo. A lot of fun with this map. Has a lot of tight angles, in my opinion. You can go on adventures if you want through the old buildings.
hmm
It's a lot of fun. Some of the rollouts is fun. Some places you can hide if your team loses a fight. There's a lot of interesting little things that happen.
Yeah. And looking at Odin's chosen composition, again, I think this has been one of their strong suits. Although I expected Scorching Raven's flexibility to be their blessing, Odin's chosen, they're rolling out on the Ash here, which I feel like suits the map a lot more. Again, it's these micro changes that they can make, sort of this sub flexibility that has actually made their comps a little bit more applicable to all these longer range maps. And the fire on this map can actually still be really good. Scorching Ravens, they're coming out on a lot more long range threats for the Farah, but if they're not able to take care of her, and if they're not able to force her out of those positions, again, it takes very little time for a Farah to get a lot of value. And once you're out of a position from Scorching Ravens, once those characters get forced back, it can be almost impossible to retake them into a Farah as well. So it's going to force
Yeah,
them
and
to be really disciplined.
it looks like we have both tanks fighting over the bot while their teams support them from behind, and Fulton goes low very quickly. But once
Mhm.
again, team just heals him up, and there's that fire in the back line, just causing problems once again.
Yeah,
But it
it's me
looks
is able
like
to get out
the
there.
Lifeweaver is able to hold it off, but Wolf going low, trying to take out this Diva, and once again, a good Kiriko cleanse to keep them safe.
hmm Seems like all is going right for Odin's Chosen, though. They do get the angles they're looking for, and it's me. He's already up to 70% ultimate charge, or just about. So he's getting the value that they're looking for here from those off
Sorry
angles.
about that, wrong button. Yeah, and survivability that this Diva and this comp gives to all the players, it's just keeping them alive for so long. There it goes, got Apple's taking out two, Fulton taking out one, and there's a second. 5 player kill streak. What did I miss when I was gone? Holy shit. And
Yeah,
here's the
missed
bot
quite a bit.
putting that wall up.
Now the bot is
And
getting pushed here. They're getting a lot of meterage, and again, it's me just being able to hold these high ground angles where the enemy team will struggle to pressure him. Just so strong,
it
really.
is.
Because look at how much value he's just getting, even by just getting a few rockets on the enemy team. No Diva from the
Yep.
side of Scorching Ravens. They can't really avoid that too much, so they've just got to be more disciplined.
Yeah, all it is a few rockets, and then Diva dives in as she's doing, and gets the rest of the
Oh,
damage
they do
on. But
catch
there
her.
it goes down. Uses the
No
Diva
way.
bomb, try to get out, but gets killed by the Reaper. And will be
Yeah.
this be the turning point for Scorching Ravens?
Well,
It
they do
looks
have a couple
like
people alive.
It's Me is gonna try and contest still. And we've also got Apples up on the high ground here, trying to get away. Goes very low, but gets saved just in time. And looks like they're trying to hunt, but everyone's falling back, and the tank is back again. Ooh,
Oh,
big sunshot coming out from the what's that character? Ilari, the new character.
Larry. Yeah.
And here comes the
Uh-oh.
orbital rain, and the once again it's me in the back line taking out two. There's a support and DPS gone, and Scorching Ravens has to give up this fight. I don't think they can keep fighting, and there's another one going down. The Diva's trying to hide, and looks like she's gonna die on point. Not even on point. The bot's still moving.
But they have forced Kyrie ults. Pretty fantastic
did.
for a stall.
That is what you want to see, getting rid of those high impact ults such as the Curie ult. But there will be the two players going down, and it will be a reset. Ooh, Mum with the res on Rye. They're trying to get out there. And
I
it
don't
looks
think they're
like
gonna
they're just
be-
content
Oh,
to
they
fall
might.
out. Yeah, it looks like they
Yeah.
lived.
Something you might not
There's
have
a little
noticed
bit of a
actually
wave.
from Odin's Chosen there. Dude, Ida with the Juno ult, actually fantastic combination with It's Me. He actually used the Juno ult, used the damage boost and the healing to net those two kills almost instantly. No chance
Once
for
again-
Raven or Scorching Raven supports to actually keep
Once
their team
again,
alive.
coming in from above and
Oh!
behind. To get those. There's another big Diva bomb with It's Me. Once again, getting 3 kills off of that engage. And it looks like we're going to be another
Lucky
blowout
fall.
coming out here. This bot's still being pushed. He's already over the bridge. One more team fight. Unless they just
This
keep
is the
running their
must-win
faces on
situation.
point.
And in reality,
They'll
it is
have to
also
do
a
a
must
full
not to
push.
lose. The grab does come in.
The grab comes in, but there's no one to capitalize on it. No one was
Ooh.
ready. No one was putting damage in. And looks like get one each Tundra on that Reaper.
Again!
And there's another ult coming out from It's Me, only getting one. But there's Fulton taking out Mom as well. And as your support down, I don't think you got much else to win this fight with. Although the Diva's getting pressured, has to retreat for the time being. The Zarya trying to hold the point. They're trying to push onto Apple,
Again?
but It's Me gets another pick. Where's this guy coming from? And it's Fulton, the same picks as last time. And Apples finally takes down the Zarya. Reaper escapes to the side room trying to get away, but looks like he'll get pressured fully, and there will be a wipe from him.
Wait,
Or
never
maybe
mind.
not.
Wait a
He's
second.
staying
Oh, he
alive.
doesn't.
Okay, now
Yeah.
he's gone. How is he staying alive
This-
for so long?
Now, will
And
they
looks
have a
like
chance
they'll
to
be
stall? They
walk
do
the
have
box
the...
of the
No.
points.
They
Yeah,
did have
that
the
will
life lever
be
tree, but
game.
nothing.
Mhm.
Odin's
No
Chosen
one able to
brought
touch
that into a
point to
comfortable
stop
one.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they definitely had the life weaver tree. If they were able to get that stall going, they might have been able to keep it alive long enough. But a nice and clean 3-0 from Odin's Chosen. I definitely think after watching the first map, there were definitely a little bit more of a sort of similar issues. It seemed like they were fixing them over time, but a little bit too little too late. Once you're already on that match point, it's so hard mentally to sort of fight that, fight that ability where you're like, oh, I don't really know if the enemy team is going to, well, you don't really know if you can still win. You kind of lose that confidence in yourself at
Yep.
such a late stage. But it's such a fantastic series from Odin's Chosen, and especially It's Me on the Farah had a ton of highlight moments.
Yes, he was doing a lot of work, and especially on a map like Push, as you were saying, I find it can be so snowbally. Once you get that push going and you get those kills, just each step you're making more ults than the other team, and it's just so much harder to push back and win those fights.
Mm-hmm.
So, at the end of the day, good job on Scorching Ravens, but Odin's Chosen were the chosen ones to go through. And I think they'll be going on to play Mud Dogs, I think was the name. So
I
that'll be
believe it is
an
Mud Dog,
interesting
yeah.
matchup to see.
Oh, It could be Mud Dog. I'm 99% sure it is Mud Dog who'll be coming up next. Now, those guys are the regional champions. I'm not
Mhm.
100% sure. Yeah, it will be Mud Dogs coming in. To be honest, they could give Mud Dog a run for their money. They had that kind of meta composition that they were looking for. They had that nuance in their picks that they were looking to do, which is definitely the sign of a well balanced, well rounded team, especially since they were looking at running these sort of conventional meta compositions. Bara as well has been one of those niche picks, and It's Me was playing it very, very well. Something to note, especially on for It's Me on the Farah, is you might just think he was taking advantage of the enemy team's weaknesses, but that shouldn't take away from his ability to position well. Right, he was still using those off angles that we have talked so much about. He was applying devastating pressure, especially at some points. And the most important thing was even when he was playing into a soldier and a bastion, his ability to play around cover and use cover even while in the air was just so good. He never really exposed himself to the point where he could get, engaged on, or where he could get pressured out of those angles. He was always making sure he could get healed by his supports and making sure that he could deal good damage without taking a lot of it in return, which I thought was a fantastic look from It's Me for the Farah. And I definitely think they could give Mud Dog a good challenge if they keep playing that Farah comp, especially because a few players on Mud Dog, Hypnotic especially, is a very Doomfist proficient player, probably the best Doomfist that has ever existed in Australian OCE, right? In OCE Overwatch, and he's just so good at it. So I guess we'll definitely see what they'll be able to do and how well of a challenge will be, that they'll be showing. But
Yeah.
all then,
And I've just been told that the next game we'll be having on stream will be Supernova versus Drain Gang. So it looks like Drain Gang ended up taking it over Team
lovely.
Cool,
Yeah.
and looks like it hasn't been updated as of yet. But yes, we will be getting, as confirmed, Drain Gang taking on Supernova. Will be an interesting matchup to see. We'll talk about the teams after the break, which we will be going to right now.
See you soon.
This cold heart of mine, she really took a beating before you. You stuck through blizzards, winter nights with you. Now I'm blooming just for you, for you. There's nothing I wouldn't do for you. There's nothing I wouldn't do for you. There's nothing I wouldn't do. to realign, reconnecting my foundation, reunite. Oh, I'm digging, got my feet on solid ground. No more levitation. There was always a longing for more, a deeper connection. Was disconnected from the source within. There were parts of my core, senseless and frozen. Wisdom hidden, locked up in my soul. No more levitate, no more levitation, levitate, no more levitation, levitate, no more levitation, no more levitation. There was always a longing for more, a deeper connection. Was disconnected from the source within. There were parts of my core, senseless and frozen. Wisdom hidden, locked up in my soul. This is like a flashback. This is like a dream. This is like all the things you can fit inside a memory. This is like a flashback. This is like a dream. This is like all the things you can fit inside a memory. This is like a flashback. Flashback. 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 Why can't I realize I'm fighting for my life? Why can't I realize I'm fighting for my life? This is like a flashback. Flashback. This is like a flashback. Flashback. This is like a flashback.
get that bass the way she said it. Blowing smoke in my face and I'ma let it. I'ma let it stay the way it is. Yeah. Hey now, I'm on my way, I'm on my way. I'm circling around her, she look like she wanna. I'm on my way, I'm on my way. Tell me what you thought of. When you say that you need it, show that you want me. Yeah, yeah. Circling around her, eating me alive, yeah. You want me to love you. When you say that you need it, show that you want me. Yeah, yeah. Circling
Hello and welcome back to the OCE Horizon tournament hosted by EGD. Everybody's got a dream. I am E-Dude and I'm joined with Scorch, and we're here to bring you the action from our second game tonight. But first of all, we'll have a look at our updated bracket. Scorch, you want to run us through it?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, we were just catching if you caught the action just before our break, you would know that Odin's Chosen versus Scorching Ravens ended up being an Odin Chosen 3-0. Tea Time ended up taking the win against Brown Usos, now moving on to face Kitchen Floor. And Drain Gang took the win 3-0 over Team Koi, who is the home team for NZMA, and now move on to face Supernova. In the lower bracket, we've got Sovereign and Brown Usos coming up against, and then the losers of Mud Dog versus Odin's Chosen and the losers of Kitchen Floor, I believe, will also be making up the losers bracket now. The winner of...
And looks like Sovereign also lost to Silly Sausages up in that second round of winners there.
There seems to be a little bit of a mistake with the bracket, actually. It just caused me some confusion. Silly Sausages winning brought them into the match now against Mud Dog versus Odin's Chosen, or the winner. And the winner of Kitchen Floor versus Tea Time, Supernova versus Drain Gang will be going up against each other in the winners bracket in the next round. The losers of both those matches will be going on to verse either one of Scorch's Ravens or Team Koi. Now, typically how these formats usually work is that if Mud Dog... Because Odin's Chosen just face Scorching Ravens, I believe if they do end up losing against Mud Dog, they'll be facing Team Koi, and vice versa for Drain Gang and Tea Time. But yeah, that's definitely what we'll be looking at coming into this game.
Yes, it is, and we will now be looking at our next match that we will be commentating on. Will be Drain Gang and Supernova, and Scorch, would you like to introduce the players?
Absolutely. Now, Drain Gang is made up of Orbaline, Asmo, GT, Heaven, and Stimpack. Orbaline taking on the tanking duties, particularly proficient at Sigma. Then we've got Asmo, who's generally the DPS, proficient at Echo. GT, the second DPS player, seems like he's the most proficient at everything. That's what he's put down, which is pretty fantastic. And Heaven and Stimpack rounding out the support line with a Kiriko and Moira Kiriko and Moira main respectively there. Now, talking about Drain Gang, as mentioned in the bracket, they did just win against NZMA 3-0 in the match that was played off stream, which is a pretty fantastic start. I would say that's going to give them a lot of confidence, but coming into their matchup against Supernova, I don't know if that confidence is going to mean all that much. Supernova made up of Chappadoodle, Bunny, Slids, Liam Fox, Mutnik, as well as Party 14 making up the substitute spot as well. It'll be exciting to see if he'll be playing, especially on some maps. And we're looking at, from Chappadoodle, Winston is his go-to. As somebody who's played quite a lot of Winston against Chappadoodle, he's definitely very good at that character. In fact, he owns a world record at the moment for most primal kills in a specific game mode, which is pretty sure he's the only person in OCE to ever get that high in one of the more popular game modes, which features quite a lot of pro players who have tried their hands. He's beat out all of them, and he is from Australia. And Bunny Q, being the hit scan DPS for this team, most proficient at Ashe. I've definitely seen him do pretty well on the Sojourn before, which is pretty good. But typically, back in the day, he actually used to be a flex DPS. So a lot of these double flex DPS compositions could definitely be open to them, because Slidzorge is actually a flex DPS player for these guys. Slidzorge, mostly proficient on the Farah. I've seen him before on the Torbjorn, which is pretty fantastic. I think both those picks are going to be good, but I think he's, although we're in sort of a dive meta, he hasn't really been so proficient on Tracer in the past, from what I know. Not the best at that, but Farah and Torb, as we saw from Odin's Chosen, those two characters were more than good enough to take the win in their last series. So Slidzorge being on those could be more than good enough to take the win in this one. Rounding off their roster is Liam Fox and Mutnik as their primary support players. Liam Fox, most well known for the Ana and the Kiriko. Mutnik, most well known for his Brig. And Party 14 rounds out their supports as a substitute, mostly playing the Lucio. But I definitely think Party 14 as well has quite a lot of flexibility between the aim support and main support roles. Definitely could see some double flex support sort of coming out here, which could be fantastic if he's a bit more proficient at the Juno. It means that in those sort of Ana meta conventional comps, You could have Liam Fox playing the Ana, which he's the most comfortable on, but also you could have Mutnik playing the Brig if that's what he's most comfortable on, which I think those three support lines are definitely going to be the strongest in this kind of comp. So we'll see how they end up playing off of that. Some information on Supernova. They moved into this second round based on high elo seeding. These guys are very good, and to be honest, I would definitely say they're the favorites coming into this match against Drain Gang, especially since they've placed 7th in the recent Face the Master League out of 8 teams. That's not very impressive, but they did beat almost every team in Open Division to get there. So all things considered, I definitely think that Supernova are the favorites to take this one, but we don't know what Drain Gang's been cooking. The Sigma comps, they could definitely put a number on them, so we'll have to just see.
And with you talking about the Face It Master League, that is the new higher level for the OCE tournaments, taking over the Tier 3, Tier 2, Tier 1 events that we saw recently. So it is a big achievement to get 7th at such a prestigious level.
Yeah, absolutely.
And going into this first round, it will be a control game. We've got Lijiang Tower as one of the maps. I think Oasis and Samoa are the other two as well. But it'll be interesting to see. I know a lot of teams don't like Samoa. I'm not sure about Oasis. What do you think about that?
I think Ilios is definitely going to be Supernova's go-to, especially if they're looking to try play some Winston and Echo comps. Again, Chapadoodle is the most proficient on the Winston, and his Bunny Q, definitely being a flex DPS and hit scan sort of hybrid. He's moved from one to the other. He's still very good at the Echo. I definitely think they'll have a lot of comfort on a composition like that. But if we're seeing anything from these Ana Juno comps or these Brig Juno comps, a map like Samoa could also still be in their wheelhouse, but we'll have to see. From the looks of it, I don't know if any of those maps really immediately favor a Sigma composition, but I've been wrong in the past, and a lot of those comps could still definitely be very, sort of applicable in those sort of niche situations, and you wouldn't really expect it, but it could be very good. And we are rolling out into Lijiang here.
Yeah, it is the Lijiang Tower, and I believe this is the Gardens that we're going to start with. Going to be fighting over point of bridge, maybe White Room as well. Going to be a lot of fighting around center pillar, as we saw in our last game. But it will be interesting to see what the team comps are going into this. Looks like starting out, we've got a bit of the Roadhog. We've got the Diva coming out, all classic picks. So, yeah.
Yeah, the Roadhog, not something I expected from Chapadoodle, but the Bunny on the Echo, as well as the Tracer, definitely seems to be something. Yeah, he's going to be swapping over the Winston. Now, this seems to be, this seems like it's going to be the composition that we're looking at. But again, Drain Gang do have a pretty strong counter comp. They're looking for the Sim TP across to right side, and this is a good position for them to be in. There's not a lot of angles that Supernova can use, so it can definitely net them a lot of free point presence from this kind of rotation. Pretty good stuff.
It kind of stops the dive being in White Room. They can only come from certain angles. You're not afraid from someone jumping in over you. You got the long sight lines, which helps out with the Sigma being able to put their wall up, and having the Sim there to have turrets there to hold people back. And it is Bunny going down first to Oberlin, and this is quite not what I was expecting with you talking up how good Supernova were being, and the TPs aiding in the way to get in and out. But that dive coming out from Supernova, taking out that Cassidy who was all alone. And it looks like first point did go to Drain Gang as Supernova try and come into this point, taking out the turrets. There's the lamp going down, and Bunny cleans up the rest as well. Orbling does get a pick on his way out. Is he going to fall? And there's the Sumatra going down, and there he's just going to go off the edge, do the team reset. A good almost 30% there from Drain Gang, though.
Yeah, pretty fantastic result, all things considered. Although I definitely think the critical mistake there was GT. After his supports rotated to point, he did end up getting isolated, and even in a comp with a Bat Brig, where you have high sustain, getting isolated is a death sentence. Now, they did have a fantastic first pick, though. Their discipline early on was really good, which I really like to see, and I think I've definitely underestimated them. And here we go with another TP rotation. Let's see what they can bring out of this.
They're just keeping it slow, and then when they need to go in, they use the TP, but that's a lot of damage coming out, and there's everyone getting taken down. Where did that damage come from? It was almost like it's just explosions everywhere. And it looks like just farming from the, farming some healing. an ult charge over on the sim turrets, and that's going to be a
Yeah.
beat very early coming out from the Lucio. And as for ults, that last game, that last fight, I should say, I saw a Kiriko ult coming out from Supernova, as well as that pulse bomb. It looks like they're fighting
Oh.
over bridge, and massive blade coming out from Bunny.
No beat required
Does
for
get
that
taken
flux
out.
either.
Yeah, it does get taken out by the gravitational flux, but that will be it. And another team fight won off of relatively low usage of resources. Only the one ult going in, and 2 more coming
Yeah.
out.
I definitely think the Symmetra strength for Drain Gang here is after Supernova looks to engage with a high ult, they can look to use the TP to sort of get away from them. But it seems like they are looking to just stack and go, which I feel like in that fight against the Blade, because they didn't have the rally up yet, wasn't really a proficient strategy they should be looking for. But Supernova, they are looking to be quick on these tempos. I'm not sure how good a primal here from Chappadoodle could get kills, and it looks like it did.
And there it is. There's the 2 going down, falling to the hole. There's a third. No one to touch, and that will be game 1 of this first match going to Supernova. They will take Garden. Hell happened so fast. Wasn't even paying attention to the meter build up on the points. And that will be game. Just a little bit too slow getting that teleport in and going on the outside there around the ring. Perfect time to get pushed into the hole.
Dude, especially after that primal look, Chappadoodle's on the phone. He is asking for more money. That's what he is asking for. Did you see that primal? I just killed 3. Someone get this man a higher salary. That was
He is
bars,
hitting
dude.
up his own sponsors. He's hitting up other sponsors saying, hey, give me what I deserve.
Absolutely.
It looks like
Now,
a
Supernova
little
changing
bit of
it
a
up.
switch up.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
Looking
there it
for
is.
the
Back to the
sim.
Sumatra.
Yeah, looking for the sim
Not Sumatra.
Junkrat comp here.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're all
And
good.
over
They're
on
looking for the
Drain
sim
Gang, we've
Junkrat
got
comp.
the Tracer, which is interesting. Able to put some poke in, maybe get in behind at some point. Also, the May coming out from Asmo. Maybe trying to cut off people as they dive. Who knows? But Chappadoodle, face first into the other team, running it straight in. Him and Slides getting all the kills with Party for the assist. And GT will just take the reset. And that'll be first fight win going over to Supernova.
Yeah, very clean fight there from Supernova. Look, the strength of Supernova's comp with the Sim Junkrat is if you're trying to walk through those chokes, you're just going to walk into a car wash and Junkrat spam. The advantage here from the side of Drain Gang is if they're able to play a little bit more in the open and play where their May can definitely get walls, they're going to be able to avoid that spam and be able to force those close range fights that they're looking for, but they just have to make sure that they can get through these first initial chokes, which could be hard initially for the Sigma.
Yes, and it looks like they are struggling to get around this corner. They're getting hit from all sides. The Maywolf doing his team a disservice as that's Ramatra once again pushes forward, takes all the damage, takes them all out, waits for the rock to go, and just pushes in. And once again, it's that team fight. They just bide their time, wait for cooldowns to be used, and they just take their advantage. Oh, it looks like a sneaky little play coming out from the Junkrat here, hiding in that corner, maybe a rip tire, and
Here it
there
goes.
As I said it, oh, the commentator's prediction coming out. Such a massive tire.
Scared me originally because usually it's a commentator's curse, but turns out Slizzorge doesn't need any blessings to make sure that tire hits. And now a sim TP from the right side would be hilarious. Are they going to Curie ult off this?
This touch the spawn door challenge that we're having here?
Or the Ram ult, or the sim wall.
The big
all the ults are coming out here.
Is Heaven going to die? He is. Heaven goes down to the Junkrat bomb. Not able to get any advantage. It looks like Asmo is able to take out Party, but the rest of the team falters.
And still Supernova keeping that beat alive.
They're holding forward, trying to stop the other team from pushing in at all. Not going to get any touches. Just this mix of the range poke coming out from Supernova is so strong. And they also got the defensive prowess.
Oh, they see 9!
Oh! They use the May ult to get in, but not able to touch fully, and that will be the whole match going to Supernova. And that was quick, I must say.
Damn.
It was looking like it was going to be close, but then Supernova's like, hold on, we got to turn up, and just takes it all. And here it is, the
Here we
massive
go.
Junkrat tire. No one checking that corner. Just goes
How
in and
could
takes
you?
them all out. Yeah, just something unexpected that no one was ready for. And Supernova takes
Yeah.
game 1.
They do indeed. Now, Gardens especially was one of those maps where I thought Drain Gang, their composition was actually really good. I've seen those kind of sim bunker comps be used before, and they've actually been really proficient for some teams. And I thought that honestly, Supernova, they could have there was going to be a good run for their money there, especially on after they were ended up giving a few kills on that first point, or in that first fight especially.
I
But
do
they ended up
think
still finding the kills.
I do think one of the big things that happened in that first game, Supernova wasn't quite ready, wasn't quite expecting anything. That Symmetra TP came in, they were a little bit lost, and then they went, oh, okay, we know how to play against Symmetra, we know what we have to do, we're just going to hold back, wait for them to commit, and then punish them for it. And that's what they
Yeah.
did time and time again.
hmm The main strength
Uh,
of the Symmetra in these comps as well is that you can use your teleporter to sort of give your whole team such a unique form of mobility. But I feel like since they were just using the teleporter to get in and not really using it to work around Supernova's tempo, obviously Supernova on that Winston, Kiri, Lucio, they want to be really aggressive. So where you find value with the Symmetra is one, letting Supernova walk into those car washes, letting them to walk into chokes is going to be the best thing for you. But at the same time, using that TP to sort of almost flip the map even and avoid their engagements when you can is going to be what makes their comp, or is what it gives your comp the kind of niche that it's looking for. It's what Symmetra is there for. Unfortunately, we saw a lot of early sim TPs coming out that meant that since they didn't have it available, well, all Supernova has to worry about is walking through the car wash, which when they have ultimates is a lot easier for them to do. What I would have loved to see a little bit more was, or well, what their comp is really good at doing and what it requires them to do is think a little bit more ahead, see what is Supernova going to use once we rotate to a certain position. Are they going to Kiri ult? Are they going to Blade? Are they going to look for a Primal? Because if they are, and if you know they're going to use those ults aggressively, looking for a reactive TP to sort of get yourself into a safer position is generally what teams use that kind of Symmetra comp for, which on first fight was honestly what they did, and it's why they were able to get that early kill. But an unfortunate isolation of the Cassidy meant that Supernova were able to come back as 5v4, and even though they were able to get some percentage, they were able to take that away.
Yeah, with what you're talking about with the Symmetra, they almost need to use it like playing whack-a-mole, trying to get in, use it to get out, and try and bait something big from the other team. And that just wasn't it. And with the Cassidy going down, just unfortunate, was separated from his healers, went to get the health back, got 3 people dived, and that was it for him. Going into the second map, we will be going to a hybrid map. And what do you think? Do you think the comps that they have running currently will be seen? Will anyone change it up? Maybe see the Symmetra again? Torb as in the last game? Who knows? I'm a Torb fan
Maybe.
myself. Yeah.
Could be 12 in time, but it depends on what Slizzorge is capable of and what he really wants to show. Again, these teams, they don't really want to show their full hand, especially for Supernova. They don't really want to show their composition that they've been working on. You know, they're going to run what's better, what's more comfortable for them, of course. But at the same time, you've got to think of it from a competitive aspect. They're not going to show their full hand as soon as they come into these matches. And I think that's why we're seeing Bunny Q a little bit more on the Genji, right? I don't think they typically run the Genji as much, but I think they think they can get away with it. So we'll see how Drain Gang responds. The Torbjorn from the side of Drain Gang would also be pretty impressive. I think that Torb, again, really big nuance, or sorry, not nuance, nuisance. For the turret, especially.
Yes,
The turret can be a big nuisance to the enemy team. His pressure at close ranges can be really strong. And again, that ultimate can just deny so much area, which is just what they might need. But we'll see from what both teams are running. The Symmetra could still definitely work for them, but we need to see some more proactive or some more proactivity off the TPs and a little bit more sort of thinking ahead, I feel like, if they want to continue running this Sigma Bat Brig composition.
Yes, especially what you're talking about with thinking ahead, because if we get into another map where they got those choke points just like in Lijiang Tower there, they need to find a way to get past those choke points without losing any momentum, without losing any cooldowns, find a way just to put pressure on Supernova and just get in. If we get a map, say, like King's Row, trying to get fast first choke, how are they going to do it? Will they use the Symmetra teleport? They try and brute force their way through it? there's some of the things they got to think about is how do they use what they know to go into the game and force Supernova's hands. Because at the moment, Supernova is able to just blockade at a choke point and just keep them all back.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, especially with that Ram Symmetra Junkrat comp that we saw. Obviously, you know, Supernova ended up doing a few more interesting plays later on, but early on, they were still keeping those really good fundamentals, keeping their sim somewhere where she can farm beam charge and farm turrets while they go through the choke. Junkrat as well. You saw them being able to use the Junkrat even when he was in White Room or when he was with even inside his team. He was still able to just pelt damage down the choke. And we also saw, again, some interesting TP usage as well. There was a lot of times where somebody would get TP'd into the backline of the enemy team, and for a Junkrat to get TP'd into the enemy backline can honestly be really devastating, especially if you're not ready for it. What I would have liked to see more from Drain Gang was with the Mei Reaper, although you need to be more wary of the sim, you need to be more wary of the Junkrat, you still want to be more aggressive, because if you do give them that time to spam you through the choke, it's going to give their team the advantage they need to push through anyways, which is sort of similar to what we were seeing with Odin's Chosen. Sorry, I don't know if I'm getting that wrong.
Versus Scorching
Odin's
Ravens.
Chosen.
Yes, we did
And
see
versus
that a lot.
Scorching Ravens. Yeah.
And it looks like it will be King's Row for the hybrid match once again. And it looks like Supernova will be taking on offense to start with. And we'll have Drain Gang starting on defense. Got the Rhine coming out from Drain Gang. This should be interesting. Maybe looking to hold that point in quite well. Just be a wall as he is. Maybe try and brawl with the other team. Because you've also got the Mei, the Moira's helping out, the Baptiste, and GT will be going over to that Cassidy. Maybe giving it a bit long to do his rollouts. It looks like Rhine Dittos.
Oh, he's going to be respecting it. Yeah.
Rhine Dittos on King's Row. Everyone's favorite. We love to see it at this house.
Yeah. Orbeline was calling it. He was asking Rhine Jewel Chapadoodle. Now, every time I've asked Chapadoodle, he hasn't asked for it, or he hasn't respected it. But I think this time he's doing exactly that. And here we go.
Well, I think it's part of being on stream, but looks like Bunny gets a good pick being on that Widowmaker, and Liam Fox goes down quite early and switching over to that Juno, and it looks like Supernova has just pushed Drain Gang all the way back. They're not able to take the space. The point's slowly ticking over, and it looks like Chapadoodle's just a better Rhine at this point.
And here comes the Shadow!
Oh! Massive headshot coming out from Bunny to stop that Shadow.
Yeah.
And the rest of the team cleans up as Bunny comes in and gets the point. That was a huge pick. That was like an Ajax on a Shatter. I have never seen something like that. That was awesome.
Pretty fantastic. But looking at how that fight played out, Supernova's aggression still being the main thing that's keeping them going. They're running these Lucio compositions and they are doing it well. Chapadoodle farmed to a Shatter before Orbeline could even get half to his, which I think says something about their aggression. He is getting in there and he is, you know, he is putting the hammer down, and he did at the end of the fight. You know, whether or not Orbeline would have actually taken, you know, would have actually blocked that. Don't really know 100%, but I'm going to say that he would have.
He didn't block it, he got his head taken off. So you can't block something if you're not around.
Absolutely.
And it looks like at the moment, Supernova's going for a multifaceted offense. The Rhine coming down main, a couple people up high ground and behind. Just makes it really hard to try and fight this choke point when you're getting poked in the back so much.
Oh.
And
yeah, these multiple angles.
And there's Party taking out Stimpack, both healers down, and Bunny taking out GT as well. Party taking out Asmo, and that was a full team wipe, I believe. As we go into this third point, going into last push on this last point now. Will we see any change-ups, or will the... just goes to walk up to take a shot, it gets walled off, just like, alright, I'll walk away then.
I think that's just how much they are respecting him as a threat. No wall from the side of Drain Gang now means they can't be aggressive.
Like trying to take that position around second corner. Stimpack gets shot low by the Widowmaker. Looks like they're just holding. And another good shot from Bunny. Not quite taking the head off. And there's the wall again just to keep Bunny in check. A little bit too low. And a block shatter. Everything's going wrong for Drain Gang. They just use the May ult just to keep some space. They have pushed them back just a little bit.
No one can hide from my sight.
Got a sights again coming out from Bunny. He's just been farming this ult over and over. And no block coming out on the shatter. And the beat to help the engage. And everything's crumbling for Drain Gang.
Yeah, huge engage there coming out. Huge slam as well, dropping the hammer. But now no ults from the side of Supernova means they might be able to get a big advantage on ults for Drain Gang here. No ults from the side of Supernova means they're not going to be able to have a lot of staying power on the point. But with their double sniper comp, any kills could turn this around, especially if they're on one of the supports. No Coalescence, no Nano could be devastating for Drain Gang.
Yeah, it looks like the Nano's coming out early just to keep Orbaline alive, try and push the other team back. And we've got the Coalescence as well being used for this fight, just to try and keep the other team in check. Will it be enough though? Got the smoothie drink.
There it is.
Coming out and just able to back off, take all these ults, and then push in again, and they've got nothing to do. Big pin coming from Chappadoodle. And that will be walked it into point.
Yeah, I definitely think a fantastic,
on the
fantastic defense. Fantastic defense. Sorry, I don't mean fantastic defense from Drain Gang, but fantastic defensive play, rather, from Supernova there. They respected that they had that Nano up. They respected that they had that Coalescence up. Decided, you know what? Why would we try to fight into that Nano and Coalescence? Well, there's no point. On the composition they're running, Juno and Lucio gives them an insane amount of mobility, but not an insane amount of staying power. They always want to be looking to go in and out, and there they decided we're going to use our speed boost to get out. And then after Slizzorge was able to find that one headshot that he needed on Asmo, they were able to go straight back in, which was fantastic. A huge pin as well from Chappadoodle at the end meant that they got very good cleanup off of that. But overall, Supernova still showing that they are playing with very good tempo, showing that they're still playing with very good fundamentals, and is definitely, this is the team you want to look at, especially if you're Scorching Ravens or even Odin's Chosen. If you're looking at a team to look at in terms of their fundamentals, Supernova always had very good fundamental play. So this is a team to watch for sure.
Yes, you're right. And once again, talking about that defensive play, not only did they get out of there in such a good manner, they did it as a team quickly and efficiently. They were just so ready. They see it. The in-game leader calls it out, and they just gone. It's like a magic trick. They walk around the corner, and it's like, oh, where is everyone? The Coalescence is useless then. And it looks like it will be the spam coming into main doors from the Junkrat. And it's the Sigma coming out from Chappadoodle.
Yeah.
Trying to hold this corner, hold this point. And Chappadoodle, not Chappadoodle, Orbaline goes very low. Shield already below half. As all the spam coming through is so
a little
strong.
bit dishonorable. He's gone onto the Sig instead of going back onto the Rhine. Especially when you're always winning that Rhine duel, you've always got to be honorable to the enemy team. Give the enemy Rhine a chance. But they've opted for this absolutely brawl counter comp. Insane dishonorable plays coming out here from Supernova, and I don't like to see it, not one bit.
At the same time, you got to do what you got to do to win. You might not get fan points, but you will get the victory. As you see, Bunny taking out 2 more players. So much damage, and the boop to stop him from getting into spawn doors. Slides, you can't do that to people. It's so mean. He wanted to go into his house, and you just said, "Nah, you're coming with me," and pushed him away. You can't be.
Yeah. Does he have a warrant for that? I don't think he has a warrant for that. I don't think he has a warrant for that.
Unnecessary roughness coming out from Bunny again. Yeah. Orbaline
come on,
not
man.
able to get any pressure going. And
come on. You know,
especially with having this Ana far back, they're able to push in quite far forward, keep the pressure going near these spawn doors, near this choke point. What do we need to see? What big plays can happen?
Well, to be honest, they are running a little bit of a Rhine comp counter here. A lot of spam, a lot of angles that you know, they have to cross, and even then, what can you do if you're going to get rocked as soon as you try to go for an engage? The Fire Junkrat as well, really strong into a comp with not a lot of range pressure, and now Bunny Q, he's got that rip tire, and he is ripping that tire. Is he going to find another kill? Not as big as what Slizzlord got.
He still gets a high impact kill. And there's slides with the massive Justice taking out 2 as well. And already a minute 50 on the clock. Will Drangang get a tick at all? Another thing you were saying was this such big poke coming out from Supernova. They're able to stay so far back from this brawl that they just can't. Drangang just can't do anything.
Yeah. Absolutely. Look at where Chapadoodle is. How is he going to get engaged on up there? Somebody tell me. How's he getting engaged on? That is an illegal spot. I'm telling you right now. Somebody call E-Sick. I don't think he's allowed to be there.
It's the Echo trying to challenge him off this high ground. Oh, this is just mean Chapadoodle. Using the gravitational flux to get up there is such a fun, smart play. And he's able to protect himself with the shield. And he's got healing coming in from his Ana. If you're able to get into that spot, yes, you might as well use it. So strong. But now, if Drangang want to, they could just ignore him, start pushing the rest of the team.
That's what I was about to say. They could just say, here we go. Oh, listen, Chapadoodle's been nanoed.
He's looking for the damage.
Falls. He finds that rock.
And Chasmadoodle gets the rock on the Echo as well. And another pickup after getting slipped. There's just nothing's going right for Drangang. Chapadoodle using something sneaky to take the advantage. That was fun. I like seeing plays like that. They're always so cool. It might be a little bit like mean, not to say mean, but like, oh, come on, what can we do about this? But it's just so fun to see.
I know, and he's almost at that flux again, 10% away. Bunny Q, we've seen this before, the Riptire and then the flux into that position. The Riptire comes first. Is Bunny Q going to be getting some advantage off it? Is he going to find a kill? He does, a huge one.
Gets taken out.
And now here comes the flux again.
Will he go back
and
up
they
to the
don't end up able.
No, that's
they're not able to touch. And there we go. Supernova able to take that one pretty comfortably. No fan points from me, though. I know Chapadoodle got that really fun spot, but no, it doesn't replace it. You can't get out. You can't bow out of the Rhine Jewel after you're winning. Okay, that's just rude. That's just rude. But here, another big slam.
Don't take the second.
Yeah, that's just insane. A huge double boop as well.
Coming out from Party.
Yeah.
Off that beat engage, just dashes into the backline, takes them out. That was huge. I must have missed that in the first match there, but damn, that was sick. But
yeah, I didn't notice that either.
Yeah, as you were saying in the last match, Chapadoodle is here to get sponsors. He's here to show people what he can do, and he doesn't care about the fans. It's just how it is.
Not at all.
You need to chase that bag, and that's what he's trying to do.
What bag is he chasing, man? I don't think he's got sponsors calling him up for that flux.
No, I don't
even know, man. I mean, sure. What is he gonna say? How do you even sponsor a player? When he goes up to that position, he's gonna have on his shield sponsored brands. That's all he's gonna say on that shield.
Well,
as soon as he puts it up.
Billboards are put up in high places. He's up there with the shield that looks like a billboard. He just have some sponsors advertising on that. I know. It's a great plan.
Absolutely. I know.
But going into the game in that though, we saw the brawl come out. We saw the counter brawl come out. Do you think that there's anything's going to change for this next match going into push? Or is it still going to be
not gonna lie.
Supernova's going to pick what they want and they're just going to run through everyone?
Absolutely. To be honest, I think, especially from that last map, again, they ran the brawl, they ran the counter brawl, they ran both well, and although there was they ran both with a little bit of silliness too, which was pretty impressive. They definitely weren't trying their hardest, but honestly, they've been playing silly all game. But to be honest, regardless, their team fundamentals have still seemed to be, no matter what comp they're playing, their fundamentals are what's going to keep them going. So I feel like their composition isn't going to matter as much. I feel like they're just going to keep running what's comfortable to them. They're going to keep running comps that synergize and work well together, which is both team fundamentals and synergizing comps is what we've seen some other teams struggle with. But they're doing both very well, which is why I feel like they're just absolutely getting a lot of value out of this. sort of maps. And coming into this third map, I don't think it's going to be any different. Still going to be expecting a Winston Rush comp, some Kiri Lucio, maybe even some more Sigma in high places, just for that extra sponsorship, and we'll see. But to be honest, I think overall, Supernova, still the favorites to win the next map, but you never know. Drain Gang did show some signs of life at some points, especially on Lijiang Tower. I feel like their overall compositions were most synchronized on that map. I feel like if they can get a handle on the tempo and they can get a handle on what comps they want to run, they could definitely make this a close matchup and definitely punish any silliness coming out from Chappadoodle on Sig or Bunny Q on Junkrat for that matter. All right, that's what I'd like to see personally. But yeah, I guess we'll find out. We don't really know until we go in.
Yes, especially when we see some overcommitting coming out on the side of Supernova. Maybe a way to punish that. But one thing I wanted to touch on, and we talked about a little bit, is the defensive play from Supernova. Even on that second point when they were holding the point, they played well. They played around the corners. They played around their tank. They made sure to keep the Ana specific, long-range healer, out of sight, out of mind. No one could touch her. They had to run through the entire team. Even when they tried to, the Ilaria was coming in, trying to chase her down. Wasn't able to do it effectively. Just really good defensive play, and they were all there for each other.
Absolutely. Well, you know what they say, defense wins championships. So it's good to see a team with such good defensive fundamentals. I definitely thought even more impressive was, even though they had such good starting positions, I always felt like their ability to read the tempo and read when the enemy team had a stronger engage than them was really impressive. They knew when to kite and when not to take fights, which I think is just as important as taking fights as well. When you know, the kind of areas you take fights in are really important, especially because it's dependent on your kind of composition. If you're a comp that, excels most when the enemy team is in the open, you want to force the enemy team to fight in the open. But if you're a team comp that's going to excel when the enemy team is close to you, close range, sort of brawling, and you want to play fast, you want to take fights quickly and you want to take fights close range in sort of closed rooms and sort of opposite, if that makes sense. Not really trying to play for that open space. You want to avoid that as much as possible. Supernova on map 1, they showed that they can do exactly that with the Winston Rush comps. They can be aggressive and they can take fights exactly where they need to. And they did it almost every time. You saw it on map 1 with aggressive blades, aggressive Curie ults. Enemy team walks into a room, it's a death sentence for them. But at the same time, on map 2, we're seeing the exact opposite. They know where to play. They know how far back they need to keep their Ana. They know exactly the kind of space to play for, which again is part of those fundamentals. So I feel like Supernova at the moment, they're excelling where they want to play. They know exactly where they want to play and they're excelling on that concept, but they're also fighting exactly when they need to. They know when not to fight. They know when to fight. And I feel like both of those together is what's giving them such good, consistent wins against Drain Gang.
You're 1,000% right. And going into Colosseo, we've got more of those changes of angles, the different places you can be at. That is just going to be so much more important coming into this game. And we'll see if Drain Gang can match them in what they're in the tempo that they're setting.
And we'll
Looks
see.
like we've got some dive coming out from both sides. The Diva coming out for Drain Gang, Orbeline taking that, and the Wrecking Ball coming out from Supernova. You hear him flying around.
Pretty impressive. I don't actually know exactly where he is, but he is somewhere in the back line. There he is now, coming in.
Yep, looking for those healers. Moira uses the Fade to get away, and the Torb goes hunting for the fight. Oh, and just like that, Orbeline takes out the Bunny on the Bastion. Something you didn't expect to see, but the Bastion in general, there it is, the switch over to the Hanzo, going for more Sniper, maybe a little bit of dive also coming from Supernova, having that Sombra as well. But the first push is going to Drain Gang. Can they keep this up as they take the fight around to the second corner under bridge?
I definitely think they can. Drain Gang here, they've opted for the Torbjorn, which can definitely give them a big advantage, especially against the Sombra, but he's still able to find a kill. Very impressive from Slidzorge.
And this, going down, and also Bunny taking out the demeched Diva, and that should be a fight win as they keep pushing forward. Rest of the team trying to get away, but not able to do so. Chapadoodle and Party with the cleanup. And once again, we're seeing what you talked about, being able to change these characters, change how they play. Got Party on the brig now, we've got Chapadoodle over on the Wrecking Ball. It just changes the dynamic of their team, and I don't think Drain Gang was quite ready for it.
Absolutely not. The Wrecking Ball provides a little bit more of a unique sort of setup. It's a character that can sort of repeat engages, but they've opted to go for the Moira Brig setup here, which I feel like the Brig gives you a lot more stability into the ball, into the Sombra, but the Sombra is so strong against the D.Va. I feel like that should definitely not be understated. Some big ults coming out, and heaven falls.
Yeah, there's double ults coming out. The using the dragons to take pressure, clear that bridge, and using the orbs to try and punish anyone trying to escape. Very good team play coming out from there from Supernova.
Huge boot!
And the punish on the Torb in the room. And looks like Supernova is still going to push this bot all the way through. Just a lot of poke, a lot of damage coming from so many different angles. A little bit disjointed coming out from Drain Gang. They're looking for a dive, they're not picking anyone up. Sombra with the hack onto Orbeline. And looks like the Brig initiating the dive there. Bolton Core try and hold everyone back. The D.Va bomb's going off. And there's the remake. Now it looks like Slides will take out the Torbjorn. That ult not taking as much pressure as they first wanted. But the spam arrows at spawn doors taking someone out. That's Asmo going down. Bunny with another pick on that D.Va. And this is all going wrong for Drain Gang.
Yeah, especially now. Drain Gang do have a couple ultimates they can use to store, but Supernova, I think, have got some better ones. The Mine and Rally on that point, just gonna deny that touch and make it so difficult. The Drain Gang do have 2 support ults, but their duplicate is forced at first, and so is their Rally and their Coalescence, and we're gonna see a disengage here. This is what Supernova is just so good at doing. They know when to fight, and they see that Rally. They see all 3 ultimates come out. Even though Slidzorge falls, it's a bit of an unfortunate one, but they knew as a team they played that kind of correct fundamental, which is fantastic to see. And now they're coming back in.
Yeah, and even with that Sombra going down, they're still able to take this fight. Sombra not quite needed to brawl with another team. Although they are a player down, they're missing some of that damage. Just Brig Rally coming out to help them contest. Looks like another big pick's going to come from Bunny. Will he get them? Getting whip-shotted away. Goes to climb over the wall. And they're on the back foot now, trying to escape. Drain Gang doing a good job pushing this bot, getting control again. And it will be the reset coming out from Supernova.
I think once they were able to get that sort of setup, I think they definitely will, especially with, they've opted to go for the sim here. I'm not really sure what Slidzorge is opting for there. I don't really see the vision, in all honesty. But it can still give your team a little bit of strength here, especially against the D.Va. The Sombra is actually pretty interesting.
And the dive coming out on the Brig, she will get taken down. And there's the big ult coming out from the Juno as GT gets taken down by Chapadoodle. Got the Symmetrix trying to hold it back. Orbeline takes out Liam Fox and gets another on Bunny. This dive from this D.Va is working out. And I think it's just that little bit of not being able to survivability coming out from Supernova. It's just letting them down just a little bit.
I feel like the Sombra from Supernova, honestly...
Oh, that's just mean. That's just mean.
Oh my god.
Just solo ulting the Torb and
he survived.
Spawn. Looks like they're just waving at each other over on the side there. Yeah.
Oh, he finally falls.
Yeah, Orbeline using that bomb, trying to keep himself safe, gets slipped, and gets Dragon, doesn't get the remake. That's 3 Dragon kills. What an angle coming out from Bunny, knowing where everyone was going to be.
Pretty impressive. Damn. That's a very good cleanup ultimate there, and in all honesty, I think the sim pick, in my opinion, a little bit more of a silly coming out from Supernova. I definitely think with the Wrecking Ball, you want to be playing a little bit slower than the D.Va, which is why I thought the Sombra was so good. You can just hack the D.Va when she's going aggressive. I feel like Sim doesn't really provide that same level of utility and pressure, but I guess we'll have to see. Supernova know what they're doing. Will they be able to find some value off of that kind of pick?
Yeah, and it looks like Chapadoodle going back in, getting helping Party get that one pick and getting more. Bunny with another kill. And the Chapadoodle gonna take out this Echo. Goes for the slam kill, takes them out, and the Spot should just push this wall into the final moment. Yeah, it's shot out of ult, and that will be game. Supernova, I would say taking it pretty comfortably 3-0, although there was a few moments where it looked a bit shaky. They got the win, and this is going to be the Dragon. It's got to be the Dragon.
Yeah,
I want to
absolutely.
see this angle, see this lineup. Ooh, it's not.
Never mind.
Which one's this? Takes out the Diva, gets a pick. Ooh,
Onto
what does he do?
Ooh.
Takes out the Torb. I really wanted to see that Dragons, if I'm being honest. That angle, just the team being able to force those players into those positions. Very well done. But yes, we look back at that map, and Supernova just had control of pretty much the entire map. The whole time, it was all, they just kept all the line sights, kept all the damage going, the dive from the Sombra and the Wrecking Ball, with the only downside coming out from the Diva diving a few of their supports, a few of their DPS when they were alone.
Yeah. I definitely think the Wrecking Ball was a little bit more of an interesting one. Although, whenever you consider dive tanks, it all really matters on the tank matchup more than anything. The more burst damage, or the least burst damage tanks, things like Wrecking Ball, right? His ability or his strength is in his uptime, right? Is in his uptime. A ball can just be Wrecking Ball can just be such a nuisance in the backline for such a long time. And so even though he doesn't offer as much burst damage as, let's say, a Diva or a Doomfist, his uptime and ability to pressure the enemy team for so long can buy his team enough space and enough time to deal with those more offensive threats if you have the compositions around them. I feel like Chapadoodle, his overall strategy on the ball there, as even we saw from the first map, was going around the sides and focusing on the flanks. Because ball isn't as good in the front-on matchup against Diva, right? When it just comes down to it, you can't face tank a Diva and deliver the same amount of damage back. But if you can pressure her supports, then even though you're not directly sort of fighting her, you're still indirectly limiting her and her overall value, if you really think about it. Because by denying her supports, by denying her DPS, you stop her from getting healing, you stop her from getting that damage follow-up on her own burst damage, making it a lot easier. The other sort of hero we saw from Supernova sort of compounding that was the Sombra. I felt like the Sombra was a really interesting counter, especially because Sombra can be so good into the Diva. Dream Gang with that Diva comp, sort of within, if you think about that matchup, right, Ball wants to be a little bit more slower, wants to take a bit more time, Diva wants to be more aggressive, so Diva just wants to send it at the enemy team. But a Sombra being able to hack you, stop you from being able to use Defense Matrix, stop you from being able to use your micro missiles to get that strong burst, means that a Diva was a bit too vulnerable and not able to get that value. But I felt like the Sim pick was just Slizzor's way of saying, I can play anything, I can do it, which is definitely a little bit more of that sort of silliness that we kept seeing. But their team fundamentals were still there, which I thought was the very important point in all their comps in the whole series.
You're 1000% right, and touching on that ball at the end there, you're able to just poke away, be annoying at the backline, maybe turn that Diva around so she can't play her game plan, and that's where some of their value comes in from that. We're also seeing such usage of different characters. We're seeing Bunny. He was on the Bastion for a little bit, decided to switch off after getting picked very early, and his Hanzo. Just talk about that. His positioning, the shots he was hitting, the support he had, the ability to dive in when he needed to with the rest of his team. It was just so useful. And then coming out from Party on the Brig, was able to use that support tank so well, able to keep his team alive, able to help push in to cause some of the engagements that they had. He's really good. And the Juno, we didn't get to see much of it, but she was just flying around, doing healing, chip damage all around. Just so good to see. And I just want to bring up, we did see Chapadoodle do something funny again, where he just camps the Asmo coming in from spawn, slams him down, just puts mines around him, says, have fun, dude, and just sets off. It's just,
yeah.
Some moments like that are just fun to see, and it didn't cost his team much. Although they were losing the fight, he still did. He still was doing something. It was just, I like to see the fun things happening as well. As you said, with Slides taking over on the Symmetra, had a little bit of fun, but the Symmetra pick was doing work. Able to melt down that diva, able to use the teleporters, as we saw, use them to jump from point to point, not just using it to dive in, using it to help his teammates get in and out of situations, and even just change up the line of attack. It was so useful.
Yeah, absolutely. I felt like that was the consistent theme across all their comps and all their overall hero picks. Is even though they were looking to be a little bit silly at times, they were still playing for some sort of fundamental. There was a fundamental idea behind it that you really see from a lot more experienced teams, which I feel like is why they were able to get away with a lot sillier characters. I feel like some teams who just try to play these sillier characters, like the Junkrat or the Symmetra, even when they play them in unoptimal situations. Then I think Supernova, and the reason they can do it is because they have those fundamentals and because they're always looking to apply them, no matter what comp they're on, no matter what heroes they're on, no matter if Slidzorge is in a corner rip-tiring the enemy team. Yes, it could be a little bit of a silly play, but it's because they've identified that it's their comp, they want to be more aggressive, they want to take fights quicker, right? They're identifying their advantages correctly and where, again, when and where and what kind of situations they're going to have those advantages as well. They're fighting where they always fought where they wanted to fight. They were always fighting on the tempo they wanted to fight on, which is such a it's just a mark of such a good team, and a team that was definitely planning well, that was definitely ult tracking well. It's a team that always seemed like they had a game plan no matter the situation, which I felt like was Supernova's strong suit, and it's what a team like Drain Gang can definitely look at in order to improve their own game going forward as they venture into the losers bracket.
You are so right. And talking about brackets, we will be having Supernova going forward. They will play the winner of, I believe it was Kitchen Floor and Tea Time, sorry. And Drain Gang will go down. I believe they're going down to play Scorching Ravens, so they won't be double jeoparding Team Koi. Bracket not quite finished yet. We'll see what other games going on. I believe Silly Sausages will be playing the winner of Mud Dog and Odin's Chosen. And we will be having the other games later on, but we will not be streaming them tonight, unfortunately. But then going forward, we're having these extra games going on. Anything you think is going to come out from them? Will we see Team Koi make a comeback in their own tournament? Will we see Odin's Chosen make the upset over Mud Dog? What do you think?
To be honest, I think Mud Dog, come on man, they're the reigning champions. I feel like if I could bet money on these games, I would put it on Mud Dog. Everyone does love an underdog, but unfortunately, Hypnotic on Doomfist treats your underdogs very badly. So what can you really do in that sense? To be honest, I feel like Mud Dog versus Supernova or Mud Dog versus Kitchen Floor could honestly be one of the final matchups that we're looking at here. Kitchen Floor, I honestly feel like, is one of the more impressive teams as well. Even though I believe they haven't been a team for too long. Like Supernova, the team we're seeing today, has been a team since 2019. 2020, 2021. They've been a team for years. Although it hasn't always been the exact same core of players, they've swapped a lot of people in and out, and myself included. I used to play for the team back in 2022 as a stand-in during one of their tournaments. But at the same time, they've still kept their main core players for a long time, and you can definitely see it in the way they play. They're so confident, they're so in tune with each other. When they play, they know exactly what to do and when to do it, and they know exactly what everyone else on their team is going to do when they make those plays, which I thought was just such a good level of coordination that they were showing. I feel like coming into their tougher games against Mud Dog and Kitchen Floor, we're definitely going to be seeing them get tested a lot more than today, which is going to be really interesting to see. So I'm excited to see what Supernova or what answers Supernova will have for a lot more of these tougher teams that they can't just focus on more beating mechanically and through good individual play, where they're going to have that sort of essential team play fundamentals. And although they did have them today, I feel like against a team like Mud Dog or Kitchen Floor, they're going to get tested a lot more. So although I would love to see some lower bracket runs from team like Koi or Drain Gang especially, because I thought even though they did end up having quite a bad loss or quite a bad performance on paper, I definitely thought that they had some signs of life all throughout the series. They showed that they understood what was going on, especially on that last push map. They were still taking some fights away. So I definitely think that is going to be a good mark, and hopefully Drain Gang, Team Koi, Odin's Chosen even, and Scorching Ravens, they'll be able to put up some good fights. back into this, lower bracket.
Yeah, and that is what we love to see. Some good competition, some big
Mhm.
plays, fun plays coming out. But
Mhm.
that will all be happening in day 2, where we'll have another stream coming in. We've been OCE Horizons by Everybody's Got a Dream, EGD. I've been E-Dude. This is Scorch, and we'll be signing off, hoping to see you at another time.
Absolutely.